Hello, happy Sunday. Just going live for a little bit before my next check-in, and then I will come back on live again in like an hour and a half, 2 hours or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna be live for probably like 45 minutes or so. So any questions that you guys have, anything at all, fitness, training, nutrition, life, whatever, let me know what your questions are. Zach Selesky, hello. Fiorella, hello. It's me, Cormang, hello. Oh my gosh. The print on my shirt is making it hard to read these comments. Is it Rod and Pac Ben? L Bellin, hello. Is it Eugene? How tall are you? I am just under 5'4". So I'm like 5'3.5". So basically 5'3". I am Shannon J. I appreciate the heart eyes. Very sweet. Thank you. Real Madrid, Eden Hazard, want a date. I am married, so no. Anaheim, hello. What's your name? I feel sad that you're asking me my name when my name is in my username. No, I'm just kidding. My name is Michelle, but a lot of people call me Mish. That's my username. I have Mish because it's my nickname, but usually just the people who are close to me call me Mish. But it's become more common now. Like my clients also call me Mish. Ulysses, hello. Wow, super little. I mean, pretty small. My mom is 5'1", so I would say that's little. I think that 2 inches makes actually a pretty big difference, but that's me. That's probably just me justifying my height. Marcel, hello. What size are you? If you're referring to my height, I just gave that. I'm just under 5'4". If phone number, no, like I mentioned, I am married. TJ, thank you. Beautiful princess, I appreciate it. Hello. Duh, it's Brad, what's up? So what's up, guys? Happy Sunday. See, I'm gonna be live for roughly 45 minutes-ish, just answering some questions. Any questions you guys have, let me know. I'm here to answer them. Training, nutrition, life in general. I've done some makeup ones. If you have makeup questions or skincare questions or whatever, I'm just going to be answering questions for the next 30 to 40 minutes. What color are your toes? That seems like a very odd question, so I don't feel comfortable answering that. Where do you live? I am in the United States. I'm in the Midwest. So yeah, hit me with your questions, as long as they're appropriate. Dan K is Dank Tactical. I like the name. How do you calculate macros for aggressive cutting? So one, I would ask you why you're being aggressive about your cut. Some people do well if they go more quickly just because they prefer it and they're well set up for the transition phase after. But for most people, if they take something too aggressively, then what happens is they rebound a lot more after they finish that cut because it was too extreme for them, and then they gain back the weight more quickly. So it's just something to keep in mind. As long as you are well prepared for that transition phase afterwards, then you're good to go aggressively. But calculation is just a starting point. So the first thing you would need to know is starting off with your maintenance calories. So if you're at maintenance and you've been tracking for a while and you know where your maintenance is, then you would just adjust down from that point. That would be the best way to do it. So if you just track your calories consistently for at least a week to 2 weeks, I would say 2 weeks, so that you have 2 weeks to compare, and weigh yourself daily so that you can look at your weekly average weight, take progress pictures, take measurements, and then if you've been tracking what you've been eating for 2 weeks, if your weight has been stable, then you know where your maintenance is. You just need to adjust down from there. How aggressively you do that is going to be up to you. Whether normally I would just recommend taking like 200 calories away. That would be a moderate one. But if you're trying to go aggressive, then you would take away more calories than that. Okay, I know wow, there's You guys are commenting quickly, so I'm trying to go through this. Okay, Thomas, hello. Edson, what's up? Are you single? No, I am married. Can you take out clothes? I have a lot of clothes in my closet, but I'm not going to take them all out. I come from Germany. Very cool. How are you? I'm doing great, Edson. Thanks for asking. How are you? So Michelle, are you a natural bodybuilder? Yes, I am natural. I respect other people's decisions to take PEDs. Like, I totally get why people do it, and I think it's fine as long as you don't claim to not take them. I understand why people don't disclose what they take, and I think that's smart because people will try to copy like whatever drugs, their role models are taking. I personally will never take them. That's just my personal decision because I fear way too much potentially messing with my fertility, because being a mother is important to me, and the potential of maybe messing up my ability to have more children in the future is way too scary for me to even attempt taking something ever. That just scares me way too much. So text Mike, hello Edson. Are you I'm not sure what a curved bodybuilder? I don't know what that means. Flex. So I've talked about this on every live stream that I do, but I don't feel comfortable flexing on demand. Somebody asking me to do it, let me doing it. It's just, I don't like doing things on demand. I like to do things because I want to do them. So if after a training session I feel like putting up a flex, I will, but yeah. Paulo, hello? You're still asking that. Yeah, I don't know. This person is saying, Real Madrid, you need to chill out, bro. I told you I'm married, and that's extremely disrespectful to ask someone to do that. And I would get banned from Instagram if I did that, which I would never do anyway. But yeah. Just saying. Good to see you too, Paulo. Flex, please. Yeah, I just answered that. Is it Illusion? I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Is it Illusion Diaz? I just don't flex on demand. It's just not something I'm comfortable with, so I'd appreciate if you don't ask me to do that again. It's just something I'm not comfortable with doing on demand on a live stream. How was the weekend? It was good. My weekend was good. Yesterday, my husband and I went out and played some darts, and I lost, of course. But it was fun. I still love playing darts. It's really fun for me. How was yours? How's your weekend so far? Curved means, are you curvy? So now I'm confused because you said, are you natural bodybuilder? So what would natural mean to you other than not enhanced with drugs? Because that's what I was answering. I'm not sure what that means now. I mean, I feel like you can just look at my pictures and determine what your opinion of curvy or not. I don't know. Everyone has their own definition of what curvy is to them. Annette, oh my god, what's wrong with these people? Yeah, there's some strange people in here today, some strange comments, but we're just gonna keep going. Hello, what are your thoughts on the keto diet? DS Jumbo. So I think it's not sustainable for most people, but there are absolutely people who will do it and love it and are able to sustain it. So it's a personal preference, but I think if you eat carbs in any capacity, if you like carbs, if you enjoy food, then why restrict yourself from that? Because you're going to have to go through the awkward transition phase of coming out of keto and reintroducing carbs. It's going to be really difficult if you took them away. If you feel more deprived, it's going to be a lot harder to be able to maintain your progress. So for most people, I don't recommend it. Can I go live with you? I'm just going to be answering questions in this manner. So if you have questions, you can comment them and I'll answer them. Felipe, appreciate the heart eyes. Sampara, great weekend for me. Awesome. Is it? Okay, I'm so sorry. The print on this is like making it difficult for me to see this. Aaliyah, can you explain, please, how does the coaching with you look like? Yeah, so if you're interested in coaching, what I do is I do one-on-one phone calls. So that way we can actually see if we're a good fit to work together and go over all of the details. So if you are interested in that, if you send me a DM, I will see that after I come off this live stream, and I can discuss it with you further, and we can schedule a phone call to discuss one-on-one coaching. Is it Black Tiger? What is your approach to sugar in the diet? There's no need to restrict any food. Anything that gets demonized doesn't need to be demonized. It's all about moderation. So I do not put any form of restriction on my clients or myself, because restriction just leads to overconsumption, which is the opposite of what you want. The more that you try to avoid something, it's the forbidden fruit principle, the more likely that you're going to overeat on that, which is just going to undo the progress that you've made. Paolo, let me... Hi, Crystal. Yeah, you're in here. Is it Sylvan Albert? Sylvain? Thanks for answering. You're welcome, DS Jumbo. Crystal sent Ryan my info down. 1.5 pounds for the week. Love you, lady. I love you. That's amazing. You've been so consistent. Crystal is a prime example of why you don't restrict. She's been making progress literally every single week while eating the things that she loves, and she's killing it. You've been so consistent. I love you, Crystal. What size are you in shoes? So you always ask me about feet. I'm just not going to answer these questions because I find that there is an ulterior motive with that. I am uncomfortable. Thank you for your answer. You're welcome. I'd love to talk further. Pablo, hi, IFM or clean eating. What's your favorite? I feel like you would know based on the fact that you just called me by IFM. So my name is Michelle, or Mish. You can call me either one. Clean eating is not an objective term. What do you just define as clean? Is it, you take coffee and spray it with Windex and now it's clean? Do you get what I'm saying? There's no objective black or white terminology. And the more that you try to restrict yourself from things and label foods as good versus bad, the more likely that you're going to be to find it difficult to stay on track and continue making progress. Because if you're like, okay, I can't have cookies and donuts and pizza and ice cream, I'm going to completely cut them out of my diet, what's going to happen is, maybe you'll make progress because your calories are in check. So no matter what method you use, your calories have to be in check for you to make the progress that you're aiming for, regardless of what diet or approach that you use. And IFYM isn't a diet because a diet is what you eat. And IFYM is just a structure. You're tracking your calories, your macros. You could be any diet within IFYM. And by not restricting yourself from foods, you're going to be able to actually maintain your progress, especially after you've lost the fat or gained the muscle or whatever your goal is. What happens a lot of times is people are like, all right, I'm going to just cut out all carbs. And then they do that. And then as soon as they reach the goal, they're like, thank God I'm done with that. That was fucking awful. And then they go back to their old ways. And what happens? They gain everything back and then some. And then they're like, well, fuck, now I'm back at square one. And then they go for another quick fix. You don't need to do that. If you're allowing yourself to eat things and you're not telling yourself that there's these restrictions, if you know you're allowed to have it, you're less likely to go overboard because you're not in this mindset of thinking, oh my God, this is the only time I can have this food. I better gorge myself on it. So, what's with people in these feet questions? Weirdos. I agree. What is it? Tricia? I probably totally butchered your name. I'm so sorry. Please feel free to correct me. If you want to type it out phonetically so I can pronounce it right, I'd appreciate it. Jesus, hello. Is it Dave? Hi. Okay. I'm sorry. It's just this print makes it hard to see the white letters. Are you constantly eating clean or do you allow yourself to eat what you crave? So I was just speaking on that. I'm not sure if you heard me explain, but there's no objective clean eating because everyone has different ideas of what is clean and what's not, and labeling foods is like good versus bad, healthy versus unhealthy. This dichotomy is not helpful because it just makes you feel more restricted and deprived, and it leads to overeating. So for example, if you're trying to cut out, if you tell yourself like, I'm not going to have anything with sugar in it, say Monday through Friday, you do that, and you only eat fruits and vegetables and lean protein and all those things, and your calories are at like 1,600 calories for the week, let's say that's your goal, and then the weekend comes, and you're like, oh my God, like I want everything in my house. I want all the cookies and the cake and things because you deprived yourself. And then you're like, I'm going to go out, and you go out with people and you eat pizza and cake and all that stuff, but you eat way more of it because you felt so deprived throughout the week because you told yourself you can't have it. And then you have like 4,000 calories each day. And then now you just basically wasted your time Monday through Friday because you were trying to be too restrictive with what you were eating, as opposed to just being like, okay, my calories are in check. As long as I'm eating things in moderation, I'm good. I don't need to restrict myself from certain things. Unless you have a medical condition that requires you to do it, there's literally zero need to cut out food groups or any food. And if anyone tells you that you need to cut out XYZ to make progress, don't listen to them, because it's absolutely not true. Hola, hello, William. Crystal, I used to fit ice cream into my every fucking day. Well, it's lost its ice cream now. Now I have a bite whenever. This is why no restrictions are the best. Yes. Thank you, Crystal. Pablo, sorry, Michelle, thanks for your answer. You're welcome. So what's your favorite low-calorie sweetener, Michelle? Mine is always Splenda. I prefer Splenda. I prefer the taste as well over other sweeteners. That's just my go-to, but I don't really use sweeteners all that often, but when I do, it's Splenda. Norman, hello. Real Dizzle, what are your favorite single leg workouts, and do you do back day or just work pull in between your other workouts? So I am in a 4-day split right now, so it's an upper lower split is how I train currently at the moment. It just depends on what my training schedule, how I have my program written, whether it's for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever I'm doing at the moment. I have programmed in a way to make sure every single muscle group is getting hit 2 to 3 times per week. My training volume is in check, and I'm progressively overloading each week, meaning I'm either increasing my weight, my sets, or my reps each week. So I don't have a dedicated back day since I'm doing upper lower. And favorite single leg workouts, I mean, anything that you can do single leg. For me though, I really love reverse lunges for glutes. That's not legs, it's glutes, but lower body. Otherwise, I mean, anything pretty much. I don't really enjoy training quads, to be honest, even though quads are probably my strongest body part on my like physique in terms of a bodybuilding standpoint. I hate training quads. I mean, if you do like extensions, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the most painful pump ever. It's like the most painful pump. So I don't really like doing single leg extensions, even though they're important and helpful. So yeah, I would just have to say like any like split, like reverse lunge, Bulgarian split squat. It's a love-hate relationship with those. But yeah, that would be my answer. Kadiv, hello. It's a Polish name. I get it a lot. It's okay. Okay, got it. Well, I apologize if I totally butchered it. Christiana, appreciate the thumbs up. Extreme mental hunger advice. How much should a teenager eat? I would recommend, if you're a teen, to not be tracking your calories or focusing on that, because you're in a time of growth and you should be still listening to your hunger cues. So don't try to be restricting yourself. You're in a place where you need to be eating enough to be growing, because you're going through one of the most important phases of your life, physically and mentally growing. You know, your brain is still, everything's still developing. So I would not try to focus on, calories or anything like that. Is it Juba? Hello. Stu Sunburger? Did I say that right? How much does a lifter eat each day? Totally. How much someone eats in a day is entirely dependent on them. It's very individual from person to person. Even if somebody is the same age, height, weight, activity level, sex, all of those things, even if they're all the same, there will be differences from person to person. What's the best way to get a six-pack? So first of all, abs, the way they look are going to be dependent on the person genetically. Some people have more like blocky abs and other people don't. Some have more wide set, some people have more narrow, some are like longer. Everyone's different. Mine are asymmetrical, so they're like staggered. So everyone's different in terms of what it's going to look like, and also how lean they have to be to see it. Some people are lucky that even if they're going through a muscle gaining phase and they're gaining fat, they can see their six-pack even when they're at their heaviest weight. And other people don't see their six pack until they're literally like contest ready, like lean for competing on stage. So I wouldn't focus on one body part. I just made a post about this. I want to say it was today's post or yesterday's post that I just made a post about this. Fixating on one body part will make you miss all the progress that you're making, because everyone leans out differently from different places. I lean out from my arms, and like the front side of my body leans out first. My shoulders lean out later, and my back leans out later. So for me, if I were to just fixate on like, oh, my glutes and my back aren't getting leaner, I would be missing all the progress I'm making here. And vice versa. Like, for example, my husband, Ryan, his stomach will be the last place to come. So for him, if he were to fixate on, oh my God, my abs aren't getting leaner, he would be missing all the progress he's making because his legs lean out very quickly, things like that. So don't fixate on one body part. But in order to see your six pack, any muscle group, you have to be lean enough. So to get leaner, you have to be in a calorie deficit. So you should be tracking your calories and monitoring your weight, your progress pictures, measurements, and you should be eating enough protein to support the muscle and progressively weightlifting. So following some sort of structured training program that suits your schedule. How to get a big butt. So if you want to grow your glutes, you're going to need to lift consistently, following a training program, targeting your glutes, training your glutes consistently and getting stronger. Just overall, within your training, your lifting, you should be aiming to increase your volume. So that means you're increasing the weight, sets or reps every week, which means you're not going to be changing your workouts constantly. You need to be following a structure and also eating enough to grow. If you actually want to grow your glutes, you're going to need to be in a calorie surplus, meaning you're eating more calories than your body requires to maintain its weight, so that you would actually gain weight slowly, so that you can gain muscle and minimize fat gain. Real Dizzle, I feel like you mentioned reverse lunges the other day. Thanks. Did I? Well, awesome if I did. I love them. I don't have hunger because I have restricted too long. That's the thing, is that happens too, is if people chronically diet and things, you can mess with your hormones, which will impact your appetite and things like that. So, but you should be eating enough to at least support your weight. You're currently bodybuilding, right? You ever thought of changing it up a bit and trying powerlifting, weightlifting? So I'm not in any sort of like specific like sport at the moment. I haven't competed in 3 years now. But when I first started out, I actually trained in a powerlifting style, so which is why I have like a decent amount of strength now that I've maintained, because I started out training in a powerlifting style, and I focused so much on increasing my strength, which I do believe gave me a really good foundation for my training moving forward. Because I know a lot of times, and I've written a caption about this in terms of training intensity, is that one of the things that's lacking for people, especially for women that I work with, is that the mental block with training. They tend to cut themselves short with their training because they're not pushing themselves hard enough, whether that's because they haven't done a sport before where they haven't had that demand of pushing themselves to the full extent, so they don't know where their physical boundary is, or they have done a sport before but they've been told that lifting is going to make them bulky, or they're just scared of lifting heavier because they think they're going to get injured. There's a multitude of things that can stop somebody from lifting heavier. It happens with men too. But I think for me, what helped is, one, having a background of sports, and two, having done powerlifting type of lifting. I never competed in a powerlifting meet, but I followed Lane Norton's powerlifting program that he had. This was 6 years ago now. I don't even know if he has anymore. What was it called? I want to say it was PH3. Was that what? Does anybody in here remember that? I think it was PH3. Anyway, I did his program, so I increased my squat, bench, and deadlift over that period of time. Also did some accessory work, but it was heavily based around that. So that definitely helped me build a foundation for understanding my true boundaries, because I was having to constantly push that, which has given me a better reference point for how hard I need to push myself in the gym. Whereas a lot of people have this mental block and they're scared of lifting heavier, and so then they're not training intensely enough, and that's why they're not seeing the physical progress that they are looking for. But I will probably compete in bodybuilding in some capacity, maybe in the next 2 years or so. I don't know. Bam X Fit. Do you ever get worried that you were getting too light when trying to lean out? Could you expand on that? I don't know that I totally understand what you mean by that. Can you give like a little bit more detail of what you mean? Or maybe if this is something that pertains to you, if you can give me background on what you're dealing with, and I can help more specifically with that. Okay, Crystal, actual question for me. I've noticed the last couple of weeks my hunger has really diminished, leading to my calorie intake being 100 to 200 short a day. Tell a girl what to do. So you do want to be as close to your calorie goal as possible. I mean, what you're experiencing is definitely something that happens for some people after they get kind of adapted to things. One thing would be just to literally incorporate some liquid calories if it helps you get your calorie goal. That is if you're short on like carbs or something. The other would be just literally in a way that you're not going to really notice it, would be if you just increase portion sizes of a couple things. You'll likely bump up your calories without really noticing it. So you're not going to impact your fullness too much, especially since it's only like 100 to 200 calories. That's what I would do, is just, like if you're eating, say, 1 serving of rice, bumping it up to like 1.5 or something like that. It's a very minimal change, and then that way you're closer to your calorie goal. Pics by Ravi. What are some examples of fat burning foods, and how much of a difference do they really make? There is no such thing as a fat burning food. Hisham, hello. Jay Barrick, AJ Umer. I am so sorry, I totally butchered your name. Billy's Playground. What a name. Since everyone is different, how do you calculate your calories, and how do you set, let's say, ground zero? There are formulations for that. So the Mifflin St. Jour formula is typically kind of the standard. There's multiple formulas, though, that you can calculate off of. So you would just need, your age, height, weight, activity level, and then basically your preferences in terms of carbs or fats, and then you'd be able to adjust your calories that way. So that you would start off just calculating that way, but it's just a starting point, so it's still going to take trial and error. You start with that number, and then you can adjust up or down based on how your body responds. Or, honestly, the best way to figure out where your true maintenance would be is to just consistently track everything you eat for 2 weeks, without having a calorie goal. Just track how you normally eat. So don't change anything. Just what you would normally eat. Track for 2 weeks and compare your weight from 1 week to the next in terms of your weekly weight average. So that means you'd be weighing yourself daily and then averaging out your weight from 1 week to the next. If your weight is stable, then you look at, okay, well, what was my average calories for the week? And then that would be your maintenance. That would be what your maintenance calories are. That would be the most accurate way to do it, because you're basing it off of your own data. Adele, did you see how much weight she lost to find well? I have not seen. I did not know that Adele lost a lot of weight. I love that you have live streams. Have it more often, but I need to try to sleep. The clock in Norway is... Oh, wow, it's it's past midnight for you. Well, I appreciate you being in here all the way from Norway. I am going live roughly 3 times a week right now, so if you are wanting to continue to come into my live streams, definitely... just if you turn on post notifications, it'll usually notify you as soon as I go live, as opposed to notifying you like 5, 10, 20 minutes into my live stream. Adele lost a lot of weight. She did really well. Did you see this? I have not seen that. I'm 5'8" and reached 65 kilos, and to me that feels as if I'm just too light. I've been trying to get my body fat percentage down to sub 15%, but I don't want to be too light, if that makes sense. Got it. Okay. So I think weight isn't really a very accurate indicator of health. So everyone feels and looks different because people carry fat differently, body composition in terms of how much muscle you have, bone density, all these things. So I would go more off of feel. Also, it's like, why do you want to be sub 15%? Are you... I'm not sure if you're... These profile pictures are so tiny on my screen that I can't tell if I'm talking to a man or a woman right now. But if you're trying to get sub 15% as a woman... It's really like, why do you want to do that? You're likely not going to feel that good. Also, it's, are you taking DEXA scans or something to know your body fat percentage? Because body fat percentage, most measurements are going to be highly inaccurate and just unreliable from one to the other. And it's like, why worry about the numbers? They don't really tell you anything about your worth. It's like, if you feel good, if you like what you see in the mirror, that's what matters. No one else knows what percentage body fat you're at. And usually when people have an idea of a body fat percentage they want to be at, it's really based on a goal look that they have in mind, and not so much like, I need to be at this number percentage body fat. So if that's the case, if you're like, no, I want to look a certain way, then focus on that and don't focus on the numbers. Your progress pictures are going to tell you a lot, how you're feeling. Monitoring as much data as possible overall in terms of like, how are you feeling? How are you sleeping? How are you recovering from your training? How's your energy levels? All those things, those are going to be what matters to monitor your progress. And if you feel like you're getting to a place where you don't like how small you are, then you should definitely stop and at least maintain, if not build. So if you're trying to get leaner and you feel that you're light, then that's likely because you don't have much muscle mass, and that's what you are wanting, is maybe more muscle definition. And if that's the case, then I would definitely focus on building muscle, because that usually gives people the look that they're wanting. Sometimes people focus too much on weight loss, and then they realize when they lose the weight, like, oh, I actually wanted to get leaner, not smaller. And then that's when you realize, like, oh, I should have spent more time building muscle before I even attempted losing fat. You look so cute, by the way. Thank you. Bonjour, hello. Billy's Playground, and gave me a good idea. Thanks, you're welcome. Yeah, she did lose a lot. Adele, she looks good now. I've always thought she's beautiful. I don't think that weight really determines like someone's beauty, but I'd love to see her transformation. I hope she's happy, and I hope that she did it in a way that wasn't miserable, because I know that tends to be so much the case in Hollywood. But I'm overweight, don't know how to burn it off the best way. So I would worry less about best and think more about what would be sustainable for you as an individual. Because when we worry too much about like what's best, or if we worry too much about what other people are doing, then we get away from like what actually works best for us, and it can be difficult to see our own progress if we're comparing. So in terms of burning it off, the only thing that's going to help you like burn, to lose weight or lose fat is to be in a calorie deficit. That's number one, nutrition. So you have to be eating less calories than your body requires to maintain its weight. So if you track your calories, regardless of what you eat, if your calories are in check, you'll be able to make progress. With that, though, that doesn't mean that you just eat whatever the hell you want. Of course, you still want to pay attention to things that make you feel your best. Like prioritizing things like fruits and vegetables and lean protein sources. But if you keep your calories in check and you're not depriving yourself of things, you'll be more likely to be able to stick to it. Exercising regularly obviously helps as well. So whatever form of exercise that you enjoy that you can stick to, that's going to be important. If you're specifically trying to lose fat, you'll definitely benefit from weight training, resistance training, because that way you'll be able to preserve muscle and just lose fat, as opposed to if you're just focusing on losing weight and you weren't lifting and you were just in a calorie deficit, you would lose fat and muscle. Caitlin, hello. Jimmy Jones, what's up? So yeah, any other questions you guys have, let me know. This is why I don't weigh myself. Did that certainly all stopped when I was a newbie. I used to wonder why I was constantly putting weight on. Truth of the matter was I was gaining muscle. Yeah, it's important to be objective about it. I think a lot of times people aren't told what to be looking for with weight trends or what to expect, especially if they don't have like a coach or some sort of guidance or some sort of program at the beginning to kind of tell them what to expect. Because weighing yourself should be something that helps you just to be objective. It shouldn't be the only factor that you're looking at, and especially if you're only weighing yourself once a week or once a month, it's definitely not accurate and not going to be helpful. Weighing yourself daily helps you to be like, oh, my weight fluctuates on a regular basis, and now I can look at the trend, which is overall, it's going to zigzag up and down. But, like say if you're gaining muscle, it's going to zigzag up and down while trending upwards. Or if you're trying to lose fat, it's going to trend, up and down while drawing a line through it going down. Jimmy Jones. Hello, Spider. Hey, what's up? More gym, I'm thinking, but I work a lot hard. You mean you work hard in the gym? Like, it doesn't mean that you have to do more gym. It just needs, like, consistency is number one. Whatever you can stick to and making sure you're progressing with it. So if you're lifting, making sure that you're following a structure, following a program that actually suits your schedule. So that means, if your schedule only allows for 3 days a week of training, don't try to overshoot and be like, I'm going to train every single day. Like, don't do that to yourself, because you're just going to be more frustrated, and training more isn't going to help you if you can't stick to it. So it's whatever you can stick to. What city and state is home for you? Well, I'm currently in Ohio. Yes, is it Yessie? Hello? No, I work hard at my job and don't have much time for gym. So I will say, and I'm not saying this to diminish what you're saying, but a lot of times when we say we don't have time for something, which it's valid, we may have very busy schedules, but there's always a way, pretty much. There's, if we always say it's something about time, we'll always find a reason to not do what we actually want to do that's going to help us. So if you swap out time and say it's not a priority, then how does that feel? Usually it doesn't feel very good to say that, but that's the truth, because there's always a way to work around it. For example, I just had a call with my client today. She's an EMT. She works ridiculous hours, and she has an infant son, and she commutes 45 minutes each direction, and she trains 4 days a week consistently. It doesn't have to be training for 2 hours. Train 45 minutes, an hour, just needs to be consistent. You can, it's just a matter of making time. Time management is it will literally relieve stress. Like, there's so many minutes and hours in our day that get wasted that we don't even realize because they're not being accounted for. For example, a lot of people watch Netflix leading up until bedtime, and then they wonder why their sleep is not so great. Say if you normally watch an hour of Netflix before bed, you could cut it down to 30 minutes. That gives you 30 minutes more in your day. If you wake up a little bit earlier in the morning, or if on your lunch break you go and work out, or if you go on a walk during your lunch break to keep up your activity level more, if you park at the back of the parking lot, there's always something that can be done. So instead of searching for why it can't be done, search for the ways that it can be done. So same client I was just talking about, the EMT, she also, you don't have to meal prep, but she literally, because she knows for herself, it's going to take her less time if she just puts an hour of her time towards prepping her meals for the week, because she's so busy and works such long shifts. If she just sets herself up by prepping a few meals for the week, twice a week, then she ends up having a much easier time staying on track, and it actually gives her more time with her family because she's spending less time cooking. So there's always ways. It's just the mindset and the perspective going into it. And like I said, she is an infant, like a baby. And same thing, for me, when I started this whole process, I was a brand new mom. I was in school full time, and I was able to still go to the gym 4 days a week. So 19 course hours. Home workouts are good, right? If you have equipment at home, absolutely. It doesn't have to be at the gym. It's whatever you can do consistently. If it would be more convenient for you, if you're I would definitely have, an extra 30 minutes if I did it at home, as opposed to if I went to the gym, then do that. Then do it from home. It just has to be something that you can stick to. So even if it's 3 days a week, that's totally fine as long as you stick to those 3 days per week. That's the number one question that I go over with my clients on my first call with them, is when I'm going to be writing their program. I'm like, okay, I don't just say how many days per week do you want to lift. I'm like, how many days per week for you will be realistic on a weekly basis? Not some weeks I can train 5, some weeks I can train 4. I'm not going to write you a 5-day program in that case. I'm going to write you a 4-day program, because that's something you can do every single week. Mother runner, yes, I agree there. Since I've been lifting over a year now, the number on the scale has been about the same. My pant size is constantly getting smaller, and I love how I look. I love it. I love that. I love that you said that you love how you look, that confidence it is changing. It's like life changing to have more confidence just overall, internally and externally. Nick Albers, hello. Melvin, Sharuk, what's up? I'm 15 now, lifted since I was 15. Now I found out I have thyroid disease, had to change my diet, need advice. So even with thyroid issues, especially if you're on medication to control that, the rules will still be the same. It's just a matter of your calories. So whatever you can be consistent with in terms of your nutrition, I would still not like cut out anything. It's just going to be a matter of moderation, because if you cut out something, you're more likely to go overboard with it. It'll be difficult to stick to, and just, being consistently active as well. Real Dizzle, how do you balance / how often do you reevaluate your time spent on compound versus isolation exercises? I probably do a fairly strength-oriented routine. How do you like to manage compound versus accessories? I usually have like maybe 2 compound exercises within a training session, and the rest would be accessory work. I usually do maybe like 8 or 9 exercises in a training session, but that also depends on how many days per week I'm training. So I'll write my programming based off of my schedule. So my current schedule is 4 days a week. That's what I'm writing for. So it just differs depending on that. And that's not so much important as your overall training volume within your week. Rodriguez, Almir, Gizem, hello. I lose weight, gain, I go up and down, not good. My BMI is too high. So I will say BMI, I wouldn't worry about BMI. Doctors rely on it, and it's just not a reliable number to really worry about, because it just overlooks your body composition. So like, for example, if my husband Ryan were to go to the doctor, they would tell him that his BMI actually puts him in like obese, based on his weight for his height, but he's clearly not obese. He's very lean. He just has a lot of muscle, but because of his weight. So BMI is not an accurate thing. So it's not looking at your body fat percentage or how much muscle you have, or, the makeup of your body. So I wouldn't worry so much about BMI, but of course, it has been proven through research that pretty much losing weight, it will improve health markers for even people who are of a healthy weight. Like, no matter what, it pretty much improves health markers. So if that's your goal, if you're wanting to improve your overall health, then taking care of your health, like all of the basic things, is what's going to matter. You don't need to worry about all these things where people are talking about like meal timing, or how many times per week that you eat, and how many times per day that you eat, or any of those things. Those things are super minor. Just focus on the things that matter most, like your sleep, making sure that you're getting a decent amount of sleep, because that's very important. Water intake, drinking enough so that your urine is clear, so that you're well hydrated. And then your nutrition, keeping your calories in check to make sure that it's supporting your weight loss goal or your fat loss goal. But don't be too severely extreme with that, because it'll be difficult to stick to, and you'll have this yo-yo effect. And then exercising regularly in whatever way that you can stick to and be consistent with. Mother Runner, I love that you are so supportive and uplifting. You're the best. Offering to support and encourage. That's a great idea. A Fit Star, hello. XAV, I'm so sorry. I'm guessing that's short for Xavier. Real Dizzle, gotcha. I guess the answer is to take my total desired volume for the group week, divide it across my sessions to make sure I hit those accessories after compounds. I'm just tired after my compounds. You got it. I mean, I'm so glad that like came across so clearly to you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I feel you. I mean, especially if you're more strength focused, you're likely going to be doing a little bit less accessory work, because if you're doing like, a much heavier load for your compound lifts, then that would be understandable, as opposed to kind of training more towards a hypertrophy goal. But yeah, so you may require a little bit less on the accessories. Also, if you have, depending on how many days per week you're lifting, you might want to have like an accessory day dedicated to that, so that you have a little bit better connection with those accessory movements without having to be so winded, where your training intensity may get affected with those movements as well. Stu Sunberger, can anyone help me and give me good advice, please? Well, I hope the advice I've been giving is helpful. Honestly, those are all that's it. That's anyone else that's out there that claims that there's a secret. Don't listen to them. There's no secrets to it. There's no shortcuts or quick fixes because those will just lead to you rebounding. The only thing you need to worry about is your calories, your training, and then, the basic things like your sleep and your water. If your calories are in check and you're exercising regularly, and you can stick to that, that is what's going to matter. Whatever you can stick to is the only thing that matters, because if you can't stick to it, it will not yield any results. Mish, the best coach ever. Oh, I love you, Gabby. I appreciate you being in here. You're the best. Do you do split training? So I do an upper body split right now, upper body, lower body split, because I'm training 4 days. But the way that you split it up isn't so important as much as isn't so important as like your overall volume for the week. So if you're training 3 days, you'd likely do 3 full body days, because in order to get enough volume, that's likely what you'll be kind of restricted to, because you only have 3 days to work with, as opposed to if you have 5 days of training, you have a little more wiggle room. You could do like an upper lower split with a weak point focused day or with a posterior focused day, or you could do it, you can split it up differently and have groups of muscle groups together on those days. As long as everything is getting hit 2 to 3 times per week, you're good. Too many calories that you cannot help you take my mind off food, but it's hard. Honestly, coaching, it doesn't have to be with me, but having some sort of guidance for accountability, it makes a big difference, because if you have something or someone, whether it's a program or challenge or a coach, who keeps you accountable, it makes a big difference, because then from week to week, as opposed to, getting discouraged and falling off track for weeks or months, you have someone to check in with constantly. That helps a lot of times, just having that support. Anyway, I have to go. I have a check-in to go catch up with a client, but I will be back in like an hour-ish probably. So if any questions that came after what I just answered, if you're available in like an hour and a half, I will be going live at that time. So I apologize, but I have to cut it here, and I hope you guys have a good night.